yeah, it's springtime. And podcast time. And other cool things. Almost Agreement at gmail.com. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We've got the UT men's game on. They're playing Kentucky right now. I'm not going to say the score. I don't want to get sued. But March Madness is doing its things. We're almost in agreement at gmail.com. While you're there, check out all the cool stuff we got going on, including a link to Hallaroo.co. Sign up to race the Derby car with us. Come out and vend your cool wares. We're still taking a few more sponsors, but that's kind of getting wrapped up. If you want to put the big bucks in, we'll take it for sure. But yeah, it's going to be a good time. May 17th. Happy Holler. We're shutting it down. We're going to race Derby cars. We're going to sell cool stuff. And we're going to have a rock show. So come out and join us if nothing else. We're almost in agreement. And favorite podcast providers, stuff like that. Like, friend, share, follow, text us to your friends. Whatever you can do to spread the word. We're going to keep doing the show. Shout out to all our great listeners. And we will get going right now. See that one of the guys lost his shoe. You gotta tie your shoes, man. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
sorry, I forgot to on the intro. We've got our special guest, John, sitting in. We haven't had John in a month or so. It's time to check in on what's going on in the wild world of John.
Yeah, I haven't been here for since last summer.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
It's been at least before Christmas. I know that.
I think it was around Christmas. I think we talked about... I think it was right after Christmas was the last time you were on, because I feel like we did an episode where you chatted about some of the cool stuff you got for Christmas.
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember now.
Sam's here too, by the way. Sam, any thoughts on this?
I couldn't say for certain.
I mean...
I want to say no more than 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, right. I have a question, though.
What's your question?
Why would you get sued or whatever for doing the score?
All right, so when you watch the sports balls, there about every couple commercials they have this little disclaimer that pops up, and it says, this event is produced with the permission of, in this case, the NCAA, college basketball, whatever, and it says cannot be reproduced. What are some of the phrases it uses?
Transmitted.
So of any use of pictures or descriptions of the game, stuff like that, because it's a copyright. It's the same thing. I mean, you know how the copyright stuff kind of works on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing as that. I can't go I mean, but I realistically we wouldn't get sued because not enough people listen anyway. But even if a bunch of people listened, if we just kind of mention a few things here and there while we're watching the game, we don't go live. This isn't live going out. I clean it up and do some stuff. I don't do much stuff, but clean it up and it posts tomorrow morning. For those listeners, it's Friday night. When it releases, it's Saturday morning. We probably wouldn't really get sued for it, but there's whole companies and businesses and YouTube people and stuff like that who their whole business is talking about what happened in sports, and it's like, well, for lack of a better way to describe it, it's like, well, if you're a baker, you got to buy your flour, right?
Yeah.
Well, this baker gets their flour for free. No, they've got to go. They work out a deal with whoever the sports group is and says, hey, can I talk about your stuff on my show? Because I'm making money talking about you. And so generally speaking, they'll pay some sort of licensing fee, and that's how they get
all right.
their content.
Hey, speaking of YouTube, I'm trying to reboot my channel.
Oh, yeah? What's on your channel?
I post Nintendo games content, and there's a chance I'll even post the unboxings of a Nintendo Switch 2 whenever I get it.
When is that coming out?
We don't exactly know currently.
I heard Tuesday or Wednesday.
No. There is a Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, which it's basically a news channel. That's what Nintendo Direct is. And so the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, it's going to give all the information, most likely about the price, when it's going to come out, and all that stuff. My guess is it's going to be about maybe $350 to $400, and it's going to release midsummer or so.
I mean, I don't know. We can get into politics of this a little bit because Mr. Trump and his tariffing thing, and where does Nintendo get their stuff made?
China.
So it may behoove of Nintendo, if they're ready to get it out sooner than later, to try to get it before these tariffs start hitting.
I mean, yeah, although I actually, it might not be made in China, because I know all the, like, production stuff is, like, Japan, because that's where Game Freak is, or or one of the 3 creators of Pokemon.
Right, the company proper is in...
Yeah, as well as the Nintendo company itself is in Japan, and stuff might be made in China. I have no idea, actually.
I think that's a good question. That'd be something to look at when look at your current one and see where it says it's made in, because it's got to be printed on the thing somewhere.
Yeah, and speaking of Nintendo Directs, there's just, like, out of nowhere, there's just one, like, yesterday, and it revealed some of the coolest stuff for a lot of people.
Right, because I had heard that it's releasing next week, but then the new Mario Kart 9, which I really, really, really want, is not releasing until, like, June or July.
Alright, maybe. Although, so you know what a launch title is, correct?
Yeah, it's the one that comes with it.
Yeah, well, not comes with it, but it launches the same day as the new console.
Okay.
Alright, and so most likely Mario Kart 9 and Metroid Prime 4.
Classics.
And I'll get into that later whenever I finish talking about the Direct.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go, please continue. Sir.
Yeah, most likely those 2 will be the launch games, and then a few months later, Pokemon Legends ZA, which is coming about October.
Is everything at least backwards compatible?
Alright, so, we don't know if it's backwards compatible yet, although we do know that most games from the regular Nintendo Switch are forwards compatible.
Right, so that would mean the Switch 2 is backwards compatible with games.
Yeah, although we don't...
Controllers?
Peripherals,
all this stuff?
All
the crap that we've got for your Switch?
Yeah.
Will it work on the new one? Or do we have to buy all new stuff for everything?
So, I don't know about the wireless controllers, I would assume. Obviously, the Joy-Cons don't work as there's a completely new attaching system. And
they could still work wirelessly, just not as attached.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I did see that the new the new way the Joy-Cons hook up is completely different.
Yeah, and it's a really cool way, in my opinion. Many people have the thought that it's going to snap, like if you accidentally like twist it or something. But I honestly don't think that'll happen because if you look really close to the like first real announcement a little while ago, there's the like chip thing that would make a thing to show that it's connected to the console, and then on the back there's this metal looking part. And so I'm guessing, and it most likely is going to be, that there's metal behind the chip. And so
right, and it's also recessed too, so it like sits inside the Switch console. It's not doesn't slide in though. Like I get where people are coming from though, because the current one, the way they slide in is very secure, but these are just kind of press in, and that is a little. I can see, I see where their brain goes.
Because
although I think they probably thought about that, I don't think that's something that they oversaw.
They have magnets. Alright, so just like the current Joy-Cons have a little button to detach from the Nintendo Switch. For the Nintendo Switch 2, they have bigger buttons on the back that will release magnets from the top, and it will go unmagnet and then pull off. Because the bottom doesn't have magnets.
But it sits in. I get what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. Alright. So, for the Nintendo Direct that happened, I'm not gonna tell everything because... I mean,
you could go to Nintendo Direct and watch the whole video yourself.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you what the most popular things were and what I really liked on it. So the first one was Rhythm Heaven, which was a game that I believe the last one was on the Wii or Wii U. But yeah, it's basically just a series of tiny little games put to a rhythm. So, like, one of them that they showed off is you're this, like, little blob, and you need to jump through a hoop. And there's, like, 7 blobs. You're the one in the back. And so it's just kind of like a wave into music for that one. But, yeah, it's just a rhythm-based game. And then the next one is the Tomodachi Life. I personally think it's really cool, as there's
Did you say Tamagotchi?
I don't know. It's confusing because there
'Cause
is
Tamagotchi is full on.
there is a
targeted at
Tamagotchi.
me and Sam.
Yeah, there's a Tamagotchi game that was there in the Direct. Although there's also a Tamagotchi, and I don't know if that's different because basically the characters there are Mii's, which I don't know. But yeah. It's basically just from the, 1:30-second clip, it looks just like Animal Crossing New Horizons, but with Mii's instead of, which, you know what a Mii is,
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
It's the one that you can build to look like you.
Yeah,
Or me. Wonder if that's where it comes from.
probably. As well as they were released during the Wii and the Wii U time, I believe. It's like Wii U and 3DS time. So Wii U, and so me, you.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. And then there is some more Legends ZA news, which is a new Pokemon game set to release late this year. So at least after summer, I would guess around October. And then there were virtual game cards, which is probably the most exciting news. Oh wait, actually no, there's one more thing before I'm gonna get into that.
Okay.
So there's Metroid Prime, I believe, 4, or like Dread or something, I don't remember.
The Return of Samus.
I mean, yeah. So basically this time, instead of a visor being green, it's purple for some reason. And like all the green light accents are purple, but basically, you're like crash landed on an on a alien planet by accident, and apparently there's still like Metroids around, which in a previous game, it's like I don't know that they're dead or something.
When are they going to bring Contra back, Sam? That's one we need to see. We need the return of Contra.
Yeah.
There may have been a newer version of it.
Probably. Oh.
Yeah, but basically you just get this like telepathic ability that lets you like grab stuff and move it, or you can make your beam different to where you can control where it goes instead of just being one shot to an enemy before the bullet goes away. There's 3. So you can hit 3 different enemies.
Right.
Yeah, I personally don't think I'm going to get it, although I do have a few friends who will definitely get it. And so now the last thing, and by far the most important, was the digital game cards. So, as you most likely know, there are regular game cards where you put it in your Nintendo Switch, and it will let you play a game. The virtual game cards, though, what they do is it's like another way to undownload your software, but still keep it on your menus and stuff. So, for example, say you have like, I don't know, a bunch of Metroid games, but you don't want to play. Well, no, actually, you have a bunch of Mario games, and you don't want to play all of them, and most of them are just taking up space. What you'd do is you'd go into your virtual game card menu, and then you would tap on them and say, like, take out game card or something. And, yeah, as well as you can, Switch. So I have my account on my Nintendo Switch and also on my parents' Nintendo Switch. And another feature is you can swap games from one Nintendo Switch to another. I would assume with the exact same save files and stuff. So like, say I don't want to play Animal Crossing on my Nintendo Switch, but my dad wants to play on his, and it's my game. So I would take it out and I would swap
Basically,
it and put it into that one's virtual game
Right.
cards.
It's a virtual way to like the old school. Like I actually have, the original Mario on the weird Mario cartridge.
Yeah, basically it's just a way that you can undownload and re-download your games and share it with a different device with your account. And so you can lend your virtual game cards out to someone for up to 2 weeks, and then it'll automatically go back to your thing. But not just anyone. It has to be someone on your family plan for Nintendo Online, which...
I mean, it's better than nothing. I mean, that seems...
Which, I mean,
It still seems pretty neat, yeah.
Family plans are really useful, especially now with that, as one, it's cheaper because technically...
Right, because you buy one game and everybody can play it and it can trade back and forth and it's all good instead of having to buy 3 versions so everybody has it. Because we've had to do that before.
Because it's technically cheaper than buying regular Nintendo Online, as it's up to 4 people, including the person who bought it, can be in that. And so instead of just regular buying it, where just you will have Nintendo Online, also you and those other people will have it. And so say it's like me and like 3 of my friends, and we're all like, well, what if we did a family plan together as like, I don't know, like we all want to have Switch Online, but only one of us can like afford it currently.
Right, or you could each afford a quarter of it, but not a whole one.
Yeah, and so basically you'd buy the family plan, and then your account and the other accounts you have on your either Nintendo Switch or you like choose. I don't entirely know how it works, but those 4 accounts, they get a part of a family plan.
Yeah.
And so with the virtual game cards, which every game is a virtual game card, whenever the update for the Nintendo Switch launches later this year.
Oh, on.
But yeah. So say you own that new Metroid game I was talking about earlier.
I can lend it to you and you can play it for a while and then I get it back.
And yeah, one of your friends really wants to try it as it sounds cool, but they don't have the money lying around. And so what would happen is you'd I don't entirely know how the lending way works currently, but they do need to be a part of your family plan. So you give it to them temporarily for up to 2 weeks, and then it automatically comes back to your Nintendo Switch. And so it's a way to get more people to try playing the games. Like, it's a win-win, basically, both for Nintendo and for the people who use it. Because if you have a family plan, then you can save money and also just, bond a bit more, I guess. And for Nintendo, they get the money of Switch Online family plans, which for a full year round, I believe, is $120.
$10 a month. All right, man. Well, that's... I'm excited about it. I'm not gonna lie. I was trying not to get excited about it, but it does have Mario Kart 9, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us before you boogie on?
Nah, really. Although, if Mario Kart 9 is backwards compatible, then I don't know if I'd be able to lend it to you, as I don't think you're a part of.
Whatever. Then your Switch comes out. Are the docking stations universal at least?
For Switch 1 and 2?
Yeah.
No.
That sucks. All right.
I mean, the new one comes with a dock, but it's... So, both Joy-Cons and the console are bigger, both in...
I'll bet it still works.
Height and length.
Thickness, though? Are they the same thickness? Because that's all that matters for the docking station.
Most likely, although I don't know. But, if you were to dock it, instead of it being perfectly docked, it would be, 2
It'd
or
stick
1.
out the sides, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not that big a deal.
And plus, it comes with a new dock. Wait.
Yeah, but that'll go into your setup, and we need the one for the family room so we can all play when we all play.
I mean,
Unless they're going to pull your dock out every time we want to bring it out here.
Why would we do that? We already have a Nintendo Switch for a family area.
Yeah, but we don't have Mario Kart 9 on it. If Mario Kart 9 won't play on the old Switch,
well,
then your Switch has to come.
I'm
sorry, our Switch, because it's going to be our Switch because I have Mario Kart 9 on it and I'm going to play it.
I mean, I'm most likely going to buy it, so I don't think like our Switch would really be the thing. Although I do see your point, but also unless you do buy the game, I'm probably not. As I tried Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I personally didn't like it all too much. Like, it was fun. It's just, I don't know.
It's fine. You don't have to play it then. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't care.
And like,
then you can't play my Mario Kart 9. Me. I'll buy my own Switch.
Do you want to play? It's fine.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
I'm just teasing. I don't really care.
yeah, I don't know.
If we have it, we'll have it, and we'll all play it sometimes, and I'll play it by myself, and I'll play it with other people, and whatever. It's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, there is a very small chance I buy it, and it's only if, because there's going to be 24.
There's zero chance you buy it, because I'm going to buy it, so don't buy it.
Oh.
I mean, if we get this Switch 2 and Mario Kart 9 comes out, I will be getting it. And when you're at school, or when you're grounded or something like that, I'm stealing your Switch and I'm playing Mario Kart 9. I mean, you can start paying for internet and electricity if you really think you own everything around here. If you want to get down to it, man, we can have this fight. Limited use of your Switch so that I can play Mario Kart 9 every once in a while in exchange for power and food and internet. That seems pretty fair.
I mean, hey, there is a chance that well, then I would just hope that it's backwards compatible.
So you don't have to share her
thing. So because I want my Switch to all to myself.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Well, thank you. That was a very exciting update. I'm excited about the new Switch, and we'll figure it out as we whenever we get a release date out of it. Because
we're most likely gonna get the release date in the
next
week, like next Wednesday or something.
I hope so. That'll be interesting to know.
Yeah, as well as their, quote, Nintendo Switch 2 experiences, which are basically just, you get to go to, whatever, like, you go to whatever the place is, and you get to, like, play with a Nintendo Switch 2 for, like, 30 minutes or something. I don't entirely know. But, like...
I mean, they did that one at the mall out here with the Switch 1.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be considered like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for sitting in, friend.
Although I'm pretty sure the closest one for us would be in, like,
Nashville.
New York.
No, come on, they'll both Atlanta, at least.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll find out when we find out.
But, yeah. Bye.
Later, Tater. All right, and that's a big thank you to John for sitting in and giving us that update. I'm not excited about it. I'm a little concerned about his... at least stated unwillingness to share. That's a problem. But that's fine. I'll stop sharing my internet and he'll change his tune.
That's right. At that point, he's like, I earned it.
Yeah, you did. But we'll see. I mean, that's a lot. He's gonna. We'll see. He's gonna have to figure out some other stuff to make money because his grades money ain't gonna get him there. I mean, he just got grades money, and he's got one more before the end of the year that he'll get paid for. But that ain't gonna be enough because it's gonna be like a $400 thing. He ain't earning $400 off his grades. And
I want to say in like second grade we had some grade thing that like if you got good enough grades, you got like a free like Happy Meal at McDonald's. I guess like that school had like a partnership with McDonald's. I mean, so we were all excited. Yeah, we're like, hell yeah, free cheeseburger, fries, and get to go play on the playground.
Yeah.
I had one of those like merry-go-rounds that somebody else had to like hold the button down like off of it. You know what I'm talking about?
What? Oh, yeah. And then, I don't know, like, I remember doing the Pizza Hut book club when I was a kid.
Yep.
Read some books, get some stamps, get a free personal pan pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I probably couldn't even pretend like that was enough food anymore. Like, I don't know how, I don't know. I haven't had one of those in a while. They used to do those on campus. There was a Pizza Hut in the Presidential Courtyard cafeteria.
Personal pans.
Yeah, it was. You get a cheese, a pepperoni personal pan, and breadsticks. That was all they had. And then there's Chick-fil-A in there too, so it was banging. That was my favorite place to eat.
I remember you going to the Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A all day, every day. Chick-fil-A. Still not open on Sundays. Sons of bitches. But anyway, again, thanks for John for that Switch update. I am, like I said, like that is like he's been asking me on for a little bit, and I've been kind of dodging him, so I had to give him a run. I didn't have a good excuse to say no.
Yeah,
I had a whole bunch of stuff in the chair. I was like, oh, the chair's full of crap.
but
Fine, I'll move it. So I think my favorite number one item of the new of the week is Betsy Henderson has officially stated her intent to run for mayor of Knox County. She has assigned a treasurer. She has not pulled her petition yet, and petitions won't be available until December or January of next year anyway.
yeah.
But she's officially started the process by assigning a treasurer. Good on my sweet, awesome source, multiple sources who hinted at that was probably what was going on with her.
No, I know there's some law with, like, I guess, it might just be presidential that has to do with when you declare, kind of limits when you can start collecting campaign money.
No.
Nothing like that.
No. And that's one of the things for that mayoral race that's a little bit problematic. Because the other side, too, is that there is a couple of pretty prominent, apparently one of the largest Democratic donors in the state that resides here in Knoxville. And he and some others are trying to talk Miss Mary Indian Kincannon to run in for county mayor to vacate her city seat for the last year of her term and be county mayor for the next 4 to 8 years.
Be interesting.
Yeah, no, it's not. I don't think so. I don't think she has a shot in hell of winning that seat.
I'd say if anybody, she might have the best shot.
I mean, of any Democrat in Knoxville, probably yes. Like, I mean, of like legitimacy, like she's got that name recognition, she's got the track record.
They could do the science of re-elect.
Right. But the inverse is she also has the track record, which includes at least one property tax raise in the city during her current term, if not another one during her prior term as well.
Yeah.
But she sat on school board a few years back too, so she has county experience.
Yeah, okay.
But she's still a Democrat running for a countywide seat in Knox County, and as of right now, that is a loser by default. I don't know, and then there's the other part too, and this is from my this is conjecture on my part, but I know I told the story on here about a couple of years back when we were building out the tavern. I look out the window and I see Larson and Mayor Kincannon come out of Flats and Taps across the street. Around shortly after a lunch meeting, if you will. Like they ate lunch there and had a meeting. And this was prior to her last campaign. So it was right in there because there was rumor about that Larson wanted to run for city mayor. And, that never really materialized. My conjecture, I didn't sit in or eavesdrop on their meeting, but my kind of joke with it has always been like that was the meeting where they talked about it. He decided he wasn't going to try to run against her. And I'd be interested if that is the truth, if there is any, if that doesn't help keep Kincannon out of this race, because they have kind of a tit for tat relationship. So why, if he didn't run against her, it'd be kind of a slap in the face to him for her to run against him in a county race that he has been very vocal about going after for years now. But again, she's also a Democrat running, and I mean, like I said, I think the mayor race coming up, this county mayor race next year is going to it's all this Republican primary is all that matters. We now have Betsy Henderson in the race, who is going to run as the MAGA version of Republicanism, and it's going to be a true test for Knox County, and I'm actually a little concerned.
Nobody else has announced, right?
There's a couple other people.
Okay.
There's other couple other people that have some treasurers and stuff like that. Nobody of significant name yet. I mean, I announced, I guess, technically. So I don't know. But like I said, I mean, that's the only thing that Larson has going to me for the primary. The best case for Larson is to have multiple far right Republicans running against him in the primary, so that they're chipping off each other's votes, so that he'll get like a third of the primary, but then there'll be 4 people that split the other 2/3, and none of them get up to over a third. That's his best chance.
Yeah.
because I don't think if it's just him and Betsy, I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious. There's a lot of people pissed off at Betsy for this fucking school board thing, and whether that discounts their hardcore conservative statuses to vote for her in a countywide race.
Yeah, I think it'd be easy for her campaign to spin it as, she was doing everything in her power to fight for her constituents.
Sure. And I think that's been her take on it. And
right.
and I think that she is doing that. I think she did that stunt for this purpose.
I mean, I'd say 90% of people, if they heard that story, wouldn't think anything of it.
Right.
Like,
a lot of people are like,
that's cool that they went to the state house to go talk on a bill, blah blah blah.
Right. No, and it's also they could spin it as she has experience working with the state legislators on getting things passed that are good for you.
Yeah.
Their interpretation of what good for you means and stuff like that. But yeah.
Right. I just mean most people wouldn't even think that was a bad thing at all to even really be considered a hindrance or.
And I think, like I said, I think that was a calculated move on her part. Is the blowback being what it is? Like, I don't know. There's also an official petition going around to recall her from the seat. So we'll see. That'd be pretty fascinating. She gets recalled from the seat and then runs for county mayor.
Nothing bars her from it, I would think.
No, I mean, but the balls, the balls. So your district kicked you out, and then to come back knowing that your district hates you, but this is a countywide race, so you don't really give a shit about your district.
Any idea what the recall process is?
Yeah, it's the same as they've got the petition's up and running. It's the whatever percentage of whatever, like it's something like the last gubernatorial ballot of the precincts that are in that district
Has to be in her district.
The percentage of that gubernatorial ballot have to sign the petition to then force a special election to recall her. Which I think
that would be a countywide.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
because she's not a she is a districted rep. She reps 7 or whatever it is, but she functionally reps the whole county because she is the chair of the board. But her actual district she's not an at-large seat. She's a particular districted seat.
Right.
So I don't know. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's gonna be fun.
I don't know how many people would show up to a special election that's only of that one district.
Well, that's the thing. Well, I think that's one thing that kind of lends to why they make it so heavy-handed to get it to force that part, because presumably the only people that are probably going to show up are the people that signed the fucking petition.
Right.
So if you can get the petition, if you can get enough on the petition, it's kind of assumed, I would think. Although Gavin Newsom dodged one in California a year ago. But I don't know what their process is. But there was a recall election for him, and he beat it. But but still, like in a district, like again, whatever district she's in, like District 6, 5, I don't remember. Probably 6,000-7,000 people voted for her in the last election. Probably 8,000-10,000 people total voted in her district in the gubernatorial race. So if they have to get 15%. It's only 1,500 people.
Yeah.
And when that special election comes out, it's probably less turnout than a primary, which that primary was probably 5,000 or 6,000 total votes. You've already got 1,500 people activated against it. So you only have to get 900, 1,000 more people to agree with getting rid of her to get you over the finish line. So
possible.
Hopefully, I'm like, fingers crossed. I'd love to see it just for the process sake. I mean, I told, I forgot the guy's name. I told him I just for the sake of seeing things work. I'm not going to interject. No, it doesn't matter. I will interject my political views on this point. I think it's fucked up what she did. I think it was immoral for the position she had to make that decision and then to go forward there and do that. Plus, I think it's extra immoral because it's clearly a political stunt for her political future. That's what I saw it from the beginning, and her announcement yesterday, or this morning, actually, it came out this morning. Her announcement that she is running for mayor makes it clear that this was just a political stunt for her to test the waters, to really kiss some ass at the state party stuff, and get her all the support she can get from the powers that be for her upcoming run. I think she did it. I think the party at the state party and the local party were like, hell yeah, good job. And that gave her the confidence to think that she'll have the support. Even though the party says they don't support anybody in the primary, they only support who wins the primary, they still support people in the primaries. They have preferred candidates. And so, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's interesting for a lot of reasons, but I support the recall vote just as much to see the process through as I do think that, honestly, she deserves it. I don't know. You deserve it. Doesn't make any sense to me. The analogy I keep putting together for it, it'd be like Steve Jobs coming in telling the state of Tennessee to buy a contract from Microsoft. He might be right. It might be true, and he might really believe that. But it's still like if you work for Steve Jobs, if you work for Apple at large or something when Steve Jobs did that, if you were a Apple customer, like, well, then why the fuck did I buy an iPhone if the Microsoft stuff's better? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the easiest analogy I can put for the situation. You know, and I think it's accurate. I think it's true to the like. It's like, yes, I understand you might actually truly believe that, but you still have to have at least put a face of believing in the product that you're creating, because this is a zero sum argument. You can't say that you think public schools are great and fantastic and then advocate for people to easier more easily go to private school. It doesn't make any sense.
It is when you spin it as, it's all, they're just trying to provide more choices to parents.
No choice. Yeah. When they're spinning it, you're right. But that's one of the things that drives me most nuts about it, is because Betsy Henderson and her district, maybe 100 students will get the voucher. 80-something of those students are already in a private school. So all this rigmarole and craziness and all that stuff for 20 families to have a choice, that's not a choice.
I was about to say, they had the list of schools. I think you read some of them off that said they would accept it, but I don't think they've really said of like how much do they have room to accept.
Right.
That's the thing about
but I mean, it doesn't matter.
Because they're still going to be able to say just what happens at public schools, that there's just not enough room. Like they're at capacity for it.
But I mean, they're at 20,000. I mean, there's only 20,000 statewide.
Right.
And we're the third largest school district of the state. So yeah, 15,000 of those, 14,000 of those won't be in Knox, Shelby, Hamilton.
Right. I mean, once this starts
Davidson counties
panning out in the next few years.
But even
I would think the private schools are going to have some major renovation if they really want to add. I'd say even just add 50 students. I'd say would be somewhat of a burden. But
if I recall the details, it's only 5,000. They're only allowed to add 5,000 new scholarships a year until they hit a number where, until it gets to the point where they're not getting applications for scholarships.
Okay.
So, realistically, I don't know what the number is. We said, a little over 7 million people live in the state of Tennessee. Probably maximum 2.2 million or so of those are probably school-age children. Probably 0.2 million of those already go to private school, and so they'll get some money. But this other 2 million students, we're at 20,000, so 1% of the student body. So do the math out. 60,000 kids in Knox County schools. If we get the average across the state, 600 students will come out of Knox County schools and go to private school next year. Now, you're right. We might get a few more because Cumberland County or something like that doesn't even have a private school option. So none of those kids have a choice. Again, it's a bullshit argument. I should play you, because I can play you the argument I had with her. Oh, you were here, but I did it. I really want to release that so bad. Stupid journalistic integrity. Damn it. I'm not a journalist.
I mean, my favorite would be you're going to have these weird, kind of pop-up, makeshift private schools.
You will. I'm trying to do it myself. I'm trying to get Jennifer Owens to open a school with me. It's not a pop-up makeshift. The intent is to do well for the students, but
I'd say there were people that just see dollar signs. They're like, oh, open up a school.
That's how I see it. I don't know. I need to do another show with Jennifer where we break down the math, because I think I feel like it's doable. I don't think it's going to be wildly crazy money making doable, but I feel like it's doable.
I think it's doable when it's done en masse. I mean, I think that's why there was that whole connection between Hillsdale College and Bill Lee 2 years ago.
That's where I disagree, though. I think it's more doable in micro scale. I think a franchise of schools, instead of being like a giant school, setting up a franchise system where it's just these tiny little 25 kid classrooms or schools, total schools, not 25 kids per classroom and have 100 classrooms. Just one. All you do is just third grade boys. That's it. And then, somebody else opens a third grade girls school and has 25 students, and then somebody else does and just build a system and consolidate some of the stuff that you can cost wise between the system, but that you just have a class so instead of it being one school with a bunch of classrooms, it's one classroom schools. And there is some central organization between these two different schools and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's just one classroom school. You do third grade. And I think realistically, I've been thinking about this part a lot. I think realistically, a K through 12 that is one class of students from K through 12, the entire time, it's just 25 kids from 5 to 18 that are all together the whole time, that the different teacher set stays with them the whole time, or at least one does. One more admin style teacher stays with them for that whole 13-year period, and they're just hiring the teacher for the grade level they're at. Because I think another one too, somebody gave this, actually I think it's a video that he showed me, which does bring up a question in education when we talk about education all the time that I always forget to ask. It's like, why do we do it by age? Because we all agree that kids are different. Some kids are better at it than other ones, but at the end of the day, by the end of your third grade year, you need to be at this level. It's like, well, there's some kids that could do that level when they were in first grade, and there's some kids that can't do that level until they get to fifth grade kind of stuff.
Like what? I can't think of much that you would find that much of a disparity. Outside of...
Maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic with my example, but the idea being that, because again, I think one of the things too, with a small classroom setting, you could figure out stuff, especially if you had a network of small schools that communicated well together, that if you had a certain student that the teacher finds has a very specific learning technique, and that's not something that teacher is very good at, but you have a relationship with the other third grade boys, 25, that classroom has a technique that's more suitable to that student, so that student can excel, and you can trade students around and stuff. I feel like it's doable. It'd be a lot of like maneuver in to get it figured out right, but I think it's doable because it'd be more customizable to the student. Because you could have a classroom that are quote third grade age, but if you get them all together and you realize all these students are a little advanced for it, and you don't need to go back, you don't need to redo this stuff that they did in second grade, that you can hit the ground running in third grade, and by the time they finish their year, they can be well into their fourth grade curriculum before they're out of quote third grade. At least state required curriculum. Just because you happen to have a set of kids that mesh well with a teacher, and you can, but it's more customizable. That's, I think, my idea. Is that it's very like adjustable to the classroom that's in front of them. Longer term relationships, more building.
Well, I think that's something that all schools kind of struggle with is how much adjustment can you make?
Right, but I think part of the problem is you can't make that much of adjustment because you have such a massive machine. It's a big. How long does it take to turn a oil tanker? A long time. You can't turn an oil tanker around on a dime.
Right.
It's a big ship. And I think that's one of the things, at least that I think people see. Maybe it's not 100% true, but I think that's one of the people's concerns with the public school system is it's such a massive entity that it's not very maneuverable as things change. I think we saw that in the pandemic. They did the best they could with what they had and the tools and stuff available. But you got a system of 60,000 kids, and I don't know how many teachers and administrators and other people that work for the school system and stuff like that to completely change the way we're teaching students for a year all of a sudden.
Right.
It's a big pill to swallow.
Oh, I think we'll see more kind of systems kind of like the Hillsdale model, and I think it's more profitable just because when you are an entity like that and has so many schools, it's easier, especially when you want to buy curriculum.
Sure,
you can buy one curriculum for everyone and share it basically, unless you're buying hard copy books. Which do they even still do that?
I don't know.
Doesn't everybody have iPads now? I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, it's a good question.
Right. Maybe just on that level, because curriculum, you hear it talked about every once in a while when the school system, looks at buying a new curriculum. Like, it is fucking expensive, and it is big money for. There's only like 2 or 3 like major companies.
We want to guess why
make all this stuff.
Could that possibly be why it's so fucking expensive? Because there's only a couple people that do it. Is it?
Not necessarily.
I don't know that I understand. I agree in licensing stuff like that. I get it. It's complicated. Like he's reading Percy Jackson right now. So Knox County Schools bought a gajillion copies of Percy Jackson, and they've got all these other materials and stuff that this is a branded thing. So Knox County Schools or the state of Tennessee or wherever it goes into the budgeting thing of the game, Scholastic publishers that do that book and all the different materials that go along with that book aren't cheap. I get it.
Right.
Plus, when you get into like history, stuff like that, you're pulling excerpts from other books and you owe royalty rights for use and stuff like that. It's a big, complicated thing. I get it.
I don't remember having to do that, but that's been a while.
Well, it's like, there was
Maybe as far as like the teacher having to do that. Like,
well,
pretty much just taught out of the textbook.
Right, but the textbook manufacturer,
right,
who is manufactured a textbook as prescribed by the curriculum in front of them, has to go out and do all those citations and pay all those royalties and do all that thing. That's part of their cost.
Okay, sorry, I thought it was the cost of the schools.
Right. Well, it is because it's in the cost of the book or the curriculum that's sent down with it, but they're not. The school system's not paying Scholastic directly.
Right.
The other people are. Anyway, because there was a couple school board meetings ago that I watched, or I was looking through the agenda on it, and there was because I can't remember, one of the high schools was doing Wicked, I think, for their musical that year,
right,
or this year or whatever, and the school board had to vote on permission to spend X number of dollars for the rights to do that performance.
Right.
Because Disney and whoever owns the rights to that thing, and you can't just perform it just because you're a school.
We even do that in band as well. Like, I think we had to pay.
I think a lot of stuff we did in bands is public domain, though.
A lot of it is, but I think we had a few pieces like that we paid for to buy.
I know we got
to play or whatever.
Right. I know we got some special with that.
Yeah, it was like an Irish or British band.
No, it was
composer.
I don't know, but it was composed for the U.S. Navy.
It might have been my freshman.
I've never been able to find it. I've never been able to find a recording of it.
I remember we went down to UT Chattanooga and played, but it was, I want to say it was like by like a British composer. But that might have been before you got there.
Yeah, well, the one that I'm talking about, I think was either our junior or senior year in concert band.
Right.
And it was it was the biggest piece of music I'd ever worked on as a percussionist, and we had a very B- percussion section at the time. We had a bunch of drummers, but no percussionists.
Right.
And I was the best we had, which I'm not a very good percussionist. I'm not a very good keyboard player. Because I've got it somewhere still. I've got my notebook where I had taken, it was supposed to be 6 different people's parts. And I got the Ken Jarnigan, I think, was still the director at the time. I got the official score, the director's score from him, and I took it home, and I compiled 6 different percussion parts into one transcription. And so I had stuff where I'd move the drums and different stuff around, and so I had a keyboard part, and then I had a drum over here, and so it was I had these 2 parts stacked on top of each other because we didn't have enough players.
Right.
Anyway, because it was a 12. I think the actual thing called for 12 percussionists. We only had 6, and 4 of them were drummers, not percussionists. So we had a guy on the timpani, we had a bass drum cymbal, snare guy, and we had that's why I took all 10, 12 parts and brought it down to 6 parts, and then made copies of these combined parts so that this guy could have one sheet that he could go down, but it's by the actual transcript, it was 3 parts.
Right.
But then I had half of one of those 3 parts on my sheet, and then it was a fun little project I did. It was really I'm trying to remember the name of that tune now. It's going to drive me crazy. Yeah, but it was commissioned by the U.S. Navy, I think is what it was.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or Air Force. Maybe it's Air Force. Anyway. But anyway, to go back to the point, yes, probably in some cases and stuff like that, especially I remember middle school, every band played Jurassic Park. I'm sure there's some royalties that went to John Williams and Universal Pictures or whatever, who own the rights to that tune.
Right.
Because I remember we did a jamboree in middle school in Wisconsin. We went to one of the high school's gyms. One of the things, just so you guys know about high schools in Wisconsin, it's fucking cold in Wisconsin, and so our gyms are huge. Like, it's not just like a basketball court with some stands. We had a full Olympic track inside. The basketball court was inside that track, and then there was other stuff inside that track that was inside. But anyway, we went to one of the high school's gyms, and like all of the middle school bands were set up on the floor of this gym. And like we took turn playing pieces, and then we played one big piece together. 3 of us played the Jurassic Park tunes.
Yeah.
Because that was the hit. That was the hit of the season.
Play when I was in middle school, but it was but the grade above us had it. I remember a couple of us were able to find somebody in that class or whatever, so we could get the sheet music for it. We're like, hey, can we make a photocopy of that trumpet line so we can like learn it? I think at the time I could just barely play that high.
Yeah. I could probably do most of that
little
too.
lick, but
Yeah. Great tune. Great tune. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. I think it's I really do. I would love if I can survive this year, if the state doesn't regulate me out of my day job, I might go down the rabbit hole. I might try to get Jennifer to go down the rabbit hole with me.
I think we'll see some maybe small independent ones pop up, but I think it'll be like a lot of businesses that there'll be bigger fish that basically see a small fish doing well and buy it up and either mirror it or just buy it up and add that to their
Swallow
ledger.
it into their other thing. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that as a.
If you're a franchise, basically you can save on admin costs. Basically, having a central office that's doing all of your admin work.
Especially like a lot of the stuff that's going to have to be part of it, where that's not in a regular school system, where we got to get out there, and let families know we exist.
Yeah,
like there is some marketing budget that has to go into play, which still goes back to my question, and will be my question next year during campaigns for school board. It's like, okay, because this is the last time I went to a public forum was a school board public forum, and my question to the forum was, since it looks like vouchers are on the table, how do you make Knox County Schools the choice instead of the default? And all the Democrats, because that's the only people that showed up for the forum on stage, talked about trying to work with the legislator to get them to not pass vouchers. And it's like, you're not answering my question. How do you make Knox County Schools the school of choice that I choose to send my kids there because I have a choice, which I don't yet, again, to reiterate that point. But I don't have a choice. But if I did have a choice, if I legitimately could afford the difference with the $7,000 voucher check, if I happen to get one in the lottery, make me make the decision to keep my kids in Knox County Schools.
Yeah. I wonder if there's been many parents that kind of like preemptively looked at pulling their kids out or already pulled their kids out in expectation of like, oh, well, next year I can get a voucher and send them to any place I want to send them to.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be some story of that.
And they're like, wait, what do you mean I got to get on a list?
Well, if you're
what do you mean I'm 5,437 on the list?
The reply to that's going to be, well, if your kid's as dumb as you are, they're not going to make it in this private school anyway. But don't. These are the jokes, people. So Rural Metro showed up at County Commission this week.
Saw that.
Which was an admission of a tacit lie. They lied to me. So they call they still try to. I still get letters in the mail and stuff saying you're not a Rural Metro customer. You should be. Here's why. But they called me one time, and they were giving me the sales pitch, and they're like, if you ever need an ambulance or something that's part of your coverage. It's like, oh, okay. So I have to pay. Like if you coming in the door fell down the stairs and were pretty bad off, and I didn't know what to do, and I'd already had a couple of drinks, and I'm not going to drive you to the hospital myself, call an ambulance out here to get you, I would have to pay for that.
Right.
No, I wouldn't have. Rural Metro Ambulatory Service was always free.
Actually, I did see that. And for the most part, they didn't charge. But I'm assuming that was because, I don't know if they would like file it with insurance or file it for somebody. File it.
I don't know, but now it's $600 for non-members. But they told me if you ever
unless
need
you
it,
sign up, then it's $400.
Right. Oh, it's $400 then? I just thought
I thought that's what the article said.
I think it's still free.
Was if they showed up. Well, I think that was part of what they changed. That they were, I guess they were explicitly saying that ambulatory was no longer going to be free of charge. Even then, I would think there's
I
probably
think it was for member, non-member. If you're a member, you still get free
I think it was
service.
like only within city limits or something as well.
Whatever. Because the other side too. I mean, I think they do charge if you need a ride,
Or maybe that
but
was
it's not
fire,
really
I'm not
ambulatory care. Like if you need an ambulatory ride somewhere, like your grandma,
Right.
who you don't have the means to get her in a car, you need to get an ambulance out. That was always a fee-based service, regardless of whether you remember or not. But as I understand it, it was never a fee. If you called 911 and said, I need an ambulance, and a rural metro truck showed up, you never had to pay for that until now. But they told me when they were trying to sell it to me that if you ever called 911 and you're a member, you don't have to pay for it, which is true. But that what they were implying was that it wasn't free if I wasn't a member.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's some fine print in there. Because I don't know if it was talking about fire ambulatory, where it said that there might have been said it was free within city limits. But that could have been just for fire. Well, no, I think if you're in city limits, they would just call the Knoxville Fire Department. They wouldn't even send rural metro.
AMR or whatever covers that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I don't know.
But they did throw in there that if you were not a member and then you had to call for an ambulance, if you then signed up, they would take away that $600 fee, and it would just be like you had a membership, your $400 membership fee.
Which it's still just like it's dirty. It's just dirty sales. I don't care how we could argue about the necessity for their existence and all that kind of stuff all we want, but that's fucking dirty sales.
No, it's one way to get people in a billing cycle that they'll forget. They're like,
well,
oh shit, I forgot to cancel that. Like the recurring payment's about to come back through. Like, oh well, it's too late now.
Yeah, I mean, that it's like, how many people in Knox County have rural metro service? How many people use it?
Right.
They
know that as well.
Right. It's part of it's part of the system that they set up, and I get it. The system they set up only works if they have a huge swath of the public paying for their service.
Right.
It
is expensive what they do. I mean, what they do is costly.
They have I don't know 100,000 members. This is just made up numbers at an average of $425 a member. That's $425 million a year that they bring in revenue. I would say for the size of the service that they cover and stuff like that, that's probably pretty close to breaking even. They're probably not making a ton of money off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably only really making money off of assholes like me who refuse to get it, and then they come out and charge me $10,000 for sitting in my front yard for 5 minutes putting out my legal brush fire because I got my permit and everything.
Right.
And so, but again, that's just scammy. It's like, well, we won't charge you the fee, which acknowledges that it actually doesn't cost that much if you become a member. And it's like, well, how much does it actually cost to send a truck out here? $5,000 a truck an hour. Well, no, obviously it doesn't, because you're only going to charge me $400 a year. If I have one truck out here for 10 seconds, I've already busted that fee.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know. Like that's one of me. Like if I'm going to run for mayor, I think I'm going to run for mayor on the. If I'm going to run for mayor, I'm running on Metro. That's going to be my number one thing. We're going Metro. Taxes are going up, but we're going to have a unified single government in Knox County. We're not going to play this two government game anymore.
Are you going to call for a re-election after that, though?
Do what?
You going to call for a re-election?
Well, I mean, it's just it depends on how we do it. It would be I get in there, I start a task force on it, and we have a task force go do the things that they do and collect data and information, and they come and submit that to county commission and or city council, and they'll do different votes on different parts and pieces of it, and it'll depend on which method we go into Metro.
Do we have to get anything approved from the state, or is that where home rule kind of comes in?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I think the state would be for it politically. They would love to get rid of the city of Knoxville government.
That's true.
But that's the question. That is the question. That's the question that everybody asks. It's like, well, which government will take over? And it's like, well, I would assume the Knoxville
county's bigger.
Yeah. And if we're talking elections, I would think counties, It's and let me rephrase the statement.
Yeah.
Right. Let me rephrase the statement. It's not which government that currently exists takes over, but which government party will take over, because we do have a very left Democrat city government. We have a very right Republican county government. Logically, the Republicans would take over the whole thing. That would be the logical end. But, I don't know, maybe it activates people who live in the city of Knoxville a little bit more, in the current city of Knoxville a little bit more, to get out there and vote. And, all 180 or whatever, 200,000 of them come out.
Including some of the blues in the county that
Right.
have been like, oh, well, there's no point in me showing up.
Of the 170,000 or so of them currently, they tend to win elections.
Yeah.
And so, that'd be like, I would say the city of Knoxville in that is a minimum of like a 60-40 left-leaning entity by resident. So if 60% of 180,000 or whatever shows up, that's right at 100,000. That wins every countywide election that we've ever had. Like, we don't have 100,000 votes. And so if American Cannon runs for city or for the new Metro Knoxville government mayor, I think she would possibly win that. And so, but that'd be my platform. My platform is going to be, we're going Metro. And one of the things we're going Metro for is we're getting rural Metro out of here. We're going to have a unified Knox County Fire Department, unified Knoxville Police Department, unified Knox County Ambulatory Service.
So that's where it might get kind of iffy. We're going from, I guess, our current system where I guess you've got rural Metro and you've got the AMR, which are essentially private companies. So you essentially would have to like buy up their property, buy up all their equipment to turn it into a wholly county-run system.
For ambulatory services, both city and county already have a third-party provider.
Right.
So,
but they have none of their own. That's what I'm saying. If you expect county to take over fire and ambulatory service,
no, you just do the same thing that you do.
Still just contract it out.
Just contract that one out. Now, fire would be it would be an expensive endeavor to, and it may be one of those you put you do some sort of combine, like you don't fold rural Metro in, but you bring rural Metro in as a vendor to the Knox County or the new Knox County Fire Department.
Right.
And so you
keep it how it is now. Just have them do anything outside of city limits.
Right. Or you mix and match it, and make it work, and whatever. But like the city of Knoxville Fire Department, so the Chief Sonny, I think he's deputy chief. I remember who the chief of the fire department is. But that chief would run all the fire trucks, all the precincts, and it would all go through there instead of going through two separate entities, and one of them being a complete third party entity. That would be the and then it would be a migration over to the singular city of Knoxville Fire Department covering the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe
over decades. It would be I think that would be the general solution. And then I think I would shrink. The only thing that one of the things the state would hate is my idea would be I would do the Nashville model. I would have the city of Knoxville Police Department be the police force for the new Metro Knoxville, and I would reduce the Knox County Sheriff's Office to the prison and other required services that the state says the Sheriff's Office has to do. So take all the policing duties off of Knox County Sheriff. So there'll be no sheriff deputies running around, kicking doors in or pulling you over or something like that. That's not their job anymore. They would just be for detention center use and process service and any of the other things that the state requires. The Sheriff's Office handles. That's my pitch. So if you like it, shoot me an email. And if you want to be my treasurer, shoot me a second email. Because I don't want to do any of the paperwork. I do enough paperwork in my day jobs. That's my number 1A. Like I for a handful of reasons, self-promotion being high on my list, I want to run for mayor. Second being, I need the money. Third, the pension sounds like a pretty cool deal. I kind of want those three things are wins. Like for the reality of I'm probably not going to win. The publicity would be fun. Be good for me. Be good for the podcast. Be good for my businesses. But in the somehow the world explodes and I somehow win it. It's a $250,000 a year job. I will promise as the mayor of Knox County that I will not spend a bunch of my time in Iowa and New York and D.C. I will be here in Knox County doing the job.
But if you were asked to do a promotional wrestling tournament,
hell yeah.
Would you go do it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would you donate the money in your winnings?
Yes.
Because obviously you're going to win the wrestling match. Who's going to let?
If it's Mike Walls, I'll probably.
Who's going to let a mayor lose?
I mean, Who cares? Let's have a good time. Like, if we're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it as part of Hollaroo or Hollerfest or something like that. I'll do a special event down there in the Holler. We'll put the rink right up there on the intersection.
Hay bale match.
Yep, we'll go full on, breaking chairs and all sorts of crazy on it. I don't care.
Chicken cage match.
Yeah, I think a complete rethink on how we're dealing with the homelessness situation would be another top priority for me. I'm done with this independent nonprofit game. It's not good for anybody. It's not getting anywhere. It keeps our homeless people alive. That's how Knoxville city and county government sees the solution to homelessness. Is just don't let them die. Like, we're not trying to get anybody anywhere. We're not trying to get people into housing. We're not trying to do any of those things.
They're
not at scale. The number one thing we do is we let every Tom, Dick, and Harry roll up a nonprofit to donate food, donate money, or donate haircuts, donate things that people need to live. But they say housing first, but there's no action on it. There's no, as the saying goes, if you want to know what a priority is, look at the budget. See how much of either city or county's budget is going into homelessness housing, into long-term permanent housing solutions.
I'd say a lot of that just comes down to the NIMBY. That a lot of people that support, money and finding money to find housing for homeless are like, yeah, it'd be great, just not. Oh, we're not over here though.
Sure, that would be another one of my platforms. Is going to be.
All right, so I mean, I was saying that, I guess, to say I don't think it's necessary that the city and county, these nonprofits or whomever, are doing anything to find housing. Say literally, they're finding pushback in every single corner of the county to find anywhere to put any kind of housing. Same thing. They do want to have it close to the other services they provide, to have it to be a more holistic, to where they can have. That's the thing I
don't think exists at all. Is I don't think that holistic anything exists.
Right.
I think we have all these disparate groups. I would love for both city and county to have like a joint task force body, which they sort of do, but they don't. Who is it's a coordinator that coordinates with the nonprofits on services needed. Like this, like I don't know. Like, I mean, the city and county have no right to say yes or no. If you want to start a nonprofit, that's actually paperwork goes to the state. The state doesn't care. They'll issue a nonprofit to anybody who does the paperwork and pays the fees. But it's like, they're like for zoning and buildings and stuff like that. Like, you could do some work to discourage another food pantry. We don't need another food pantry. If you want to do homeless services, here are the gaps. If you want to do the homeless services in Knox County, here are the gaps. If you have a nonprofit that wants to fill one of these gaps, come on, we'll get you in.
Yeah, but how do you do that? I mean, I guess you could incentivize it, but from a city's perspective, they would almost have to incentivize and advertise it, like, hey, we're looking for nonprofits in this field and this field.
Yeah,
which they may do a little bit of, I don't know.
Exactly that.
But at the same time, you can't force a company to provide, A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Sure, but you can make it real hard for the company to provide something that we already have 15 of. I mean, you can't. Through codes and zonings and all sorts of stuff.
I mean, running a food pantry isn't free, and I don't think they're getting that much tax incentives that they could just run it willy-nilly and expect to make money off of it.
No.
I'd say most food pantries are struggling on a day-to-day basis,
sure,
especially now. So I don't really see, an angle for people to come in like, well, I'm going to open up another food pantry. Say, before they've even gone to the city, they've already looked at the saturation or need thereof. Because it costs them money to administer whatever they want to do. If it is,
but I mean, but again, if it's a true nonprofit, they're not trying to make money. It's 9 times out of 10, it's a mission that's attached
for
to
them to be able
faith.
to operate. Sorry, maybe not be profitable, but for them to be able to fiscally operate.
But most of them are attached to another nonprofit, a parent nonprofit of sorts, usually a church or a diocese or something like that. There's angles where you could manipulate. You could manipulate it governmentally on permissions.
I mean, I'd say a lot of people do food pantries just because it's the easiest thing. I mean, there's so many people. I'm not sure who all does it now, but the Boy Scouts used to do it from time to time, where they would hang a plastic bag.
Scouting for food, they still do.
Right. But it'd be things like that because a lot of people, second harvest as well. Sure, we could go through my pantry, not so much. I'm sure we go through your pantry and find canned foods that have been in there like a year or two.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the things are just,
That's
mainly non-perishable things they're looking for. But
That's what my brother-in-laws are for. Every time they come over, I'm like, we're not going to eat this.
right.
It's usually some funky chip. The missus loves to get the crazy chips. Like we have a spicy dill pickle chip, potato chip up there, which none of them like spicy. I hate dill. I like spicy. And so that bag of chips has just kind of sat there with some strange faces.
Nice.
So I'll pawn that off on a family member at some point. That's what family's for.
But I mean, that's an easier kind of a thing. Kind of say like a secondhand, like clothing store. There's so many people that just have like extra shit they're looking to get rid of.
Right. I think,
same with like a food pantry.
I think Carm on the Carm retail stores need to be shut down. Personally, that's a scam and a half.
Okay, what are they?
They're
Just
not
overcharging for things, or
well,
what?
they're not. They are not. The Carm clothing stores are a private company who licensed the name Carm from Carm to use on their stores. And so it's a for-profit company who is
attached to a nonprofit,
taking donations and pays an annual fee to the nonprofit for the use of that nonprofit's name. Not a bad move on Carm's part.
But
Not a bad move on Carm's part as far as
it gets their name out there.
Yeah, it gets, and it's fixed
Yeah,
income.
it's money to them.
Or
Yeah.
It's a fixed income for them. They don't have to spend the time and energy and effort trying to make that money by doing the sales part of it. They just get X number of dollars a year from this company.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I learned that from my dad because my dad was a Carm. He donated to Carm regularly until he heard that, and he said, "Nope, no more." Took his money away.
I remember my mom used to donate to like Counsel for the Blind, and I was like, usually it was like clothing, other stuff.
I think about
She
this
would
all the
donate.
time. Like, I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize. But I think about it all the time. Like the amount of stuff. Like we've been watching Celebrity Jeopardy on Hulu, and like it's always they're playing for their
Charity, right.
charity of choice or whatever. And like the grand prize for whoever wins this Celebrity Jeopardy tournament is $1 million for their charity. And everybody in it makes like if you get through if you play in the game you get like, at least 10 or 15,000 goes to your charity.
I was gonna say I thought it was only like 10 or 15.
If you get through the play-in rounds to the actual like bracket part of it, you get up like 25 for your charity. And then if you get to the finals or your last three, each person in the last three gets like 100,000. And then whoever wins the whole thing gets $1 million to their charity. But but you can see a lot of different versions of this. Wheel of Fortune will do a version of it. Everybody does a version of it. And like I would love, I'm sure it's out there, but I would love to know like how much money charities and nonprofits raise in a year nationally. It is probably in the high billions, if not trillions of dollars.
It's a good bit.
Which is,
I mean, you hear it talked about every once in a while. I don't know if they've ever done like, it's hard to figure out like gross, but like, kind of not Kickstarters, but like GoFundMe pages. Well, you'll see like a story go viral. All of a sudden, like they were asking for $15,000 for,
right. And they get like $100,000.
They get like $100,000.
Yeah.
But even, they've been talking more about like sports gambling recently. There was one stat I meant to tell you last week that I saw about it. But even just sports gambling, of how much money is traded on like sports gambling. Apparently Tennessee's up pretty high as far as like states in sports gambling.
And that's the stuff
percentage of sports
that's
gambling.
the legal sports betting part of
Right.
it, which I'm sure.
I'm talking about like billions of dollars or hundreds of millions.
I'm
at least.
sure at least probably 50% of that number is still in the black market bookies.
Right.
At least.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just it's like that. Like I don't know. Like it's such an ungodly big number, and you combine all these different parts and pieces together, and it's like, how are we all broke? Like, how does that make sense?
Right. I was saying there's all that money out there. There's that massive amount of credit card debt a lot of people have.
Right.
Like I've heard what the average is now, like $10,000 or $15,000 in credit card debt most people have.
Yeah, I finally got mine under 5, so I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
I might get down to 0 by like July. That's my goal. If I can get down to 0 by July.
You can do it.
Oh, then I'm going to take on a mess up that anyway. But that's just everything. But get my credit score back up. I need my credit score back up.
Right. And I forget, the crazy stat I saw on like sports betting that had to do with like prop bets was, I don't know if they were talking about a particular site or whatever, but it was 50% of their earnings was from prop bets. And it was like 70,
sure.
it was like 70 or 75% of like the bets were prop bets. but they made like 50% of their earnings from like these prop bets.
Yeah. Well, because like
Because more people will do like those small little like, oh sure,
right,
$10 for this, whatever.
right. But I mean, it's like you put 15 on a 5-team a 5-team parlay. That's the other. That goes
Right.
in
Because your odds look great. It's like, oh well, if I just did
Right,
$20 and I
15
can win $2,000, like
right,
hell
well,
yeah. But
standard a standard parlay 15 pays 600.
yeah, sure.
I mean, no, it's true. Like, it's not a yeah, sure.
I'm not.
It's
I
factual.
wasn't going to push back. I'm like, yeah, sure. I have no fucking clue.
Right. So and most props are the same. Like most prop bets work in that same fashion.
Right.
Now,
But it's because they're very unlikely to win.
Right,
That's what I'm
like-
saying. Like these sports betting companies are just making half of their income off of these, like what should be, just stupid dummy bets.
Right.
You would think people would realize, like, there's no way it's going to win. But like, I got a chance. You're telling me there's a chance.
it's fun, but I mean, I don't know. That's the I don't know. Again, like I like to gamble too. I love it, but it's sort of those like that's the fun part on certain betting, like betting the Super Bowl, like doing like straight bets on the Super Bowl aren't that much fun. The prop bets are the fun part of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How long is the national anthem going to be? Heads or tails? Who wins the coin toss?
Right.
Like those are the fun ones because it's
It
like
makes it quote unquote interesting, I guess. Yeah.
right. Well, and the game's not done, but like you get into it, there. It's like Saquon Barkley rushes for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts throws a touchdown and has 300 yards passing. If those 5 things happen, $10 turns into $300.
I mean, I get it from like different leagues' perspective. Is you can kind of add like those little added aspects to keep people interested in watching it. That's why I think I texted you like a month or so ago. I saw somebody interviewing that was talking about sports betting and that what they were kind of realizing was that people are less watching games for like the thrill of like watching the game.
Right.
And it was more of like questioning, or they were at like a sports bar and people were wondering like why they're watching the game, because they didn't care about the team or whatever.
Right.
They're like, wait, you're watching this like to actually watch the game? Like, yeah. Like, oh, we're just wanting to watch the spread or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it was the people, we're watching more sports, just to see these different.
I just want to see if I'm right.
Right. It wasn't wanting to watch their team or
Right.
just watch the sport played out, that they enjoy that sport they're watching.
Right. Speaking of sport and
It's
watching,
like, oh, you're not betting on this? Like, well, then why are you watching it? That's what it was.
Well,
It
yeah.
was like, oh, if you didn't have money on it, like, well, why are you watching the game? It was like, because I like the sport.
right. But like, speaking of watching the games, I had the saddest. It's been fairly regular this year, but I had the saddest yesterday. My ESPN app. I have a handful of teams or sports that they send me score updates on, and like 5 minutes apart, I get Pittsburgh loses like 5-4, Nashville loses like 6-2, like back to back.
Yeah.
It's like I almost took a screenshot of my
That
my updates, and it's like, oh, we have no playoff. Me and you have no playoff hockey this year.
This team you're following, they lost. Hey, this other team you like? Yeah, they lost too.
Yeah,
Hey, did you know this other team you like? Yeah, they lost too. Did you see that? Just a reminder.
yeah.
Your other favorite team,
And
they
then,
lost.
Right, U.S. lost to Panama in the CONCACAF, whatever thing's going on right now.
I meant to watch, like I said, I saw like some pop up about some game where there was like 3 or 4 red cards. And like a little still of the shot. I think it was an American player had like a ripped jersey. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? A, I didn't realize that there was a tournament going on. And then B, I was like, what the hell
I think it's the
happened?
Gold Cup. I think it's the North American tournament.
Yeah, I think
it
something
was
like that.
Panama, Canada, Mexico, and U.S. were the final 4.
Yeah. It's pretty common.
U.S. took 4th.
Oh,
Like I saw, was the Howard, was the goalie? Howard, he's our U.S.
Yeah,
national
Howard.
goalie. Saw a clip of him, and he's like, "This is bad. This is bad. You've lost to Panama." He was saying there's only like 2 more competitive matches before the World Cup qualifiers start,
right.
and it's like we're not going to make the World Cup again. Like, this is bad.
Right.
We lost to Panama 4 times in one tournament.
Well, I think we just got a new coach.
Right, and he's got fired.
Wait, the newest coach just got fired?
I think so. I think that's what they're saying. Or maybe you said you got your coach sacked and you lose to Panama 4 times. Maybe that was
Okay, yeah. I want to say
that
it
was
was in the
after
past
the
year or
fire,
so.
right.
They've got a new coach.
it's like this is bad for U.S. soccer. This is dismal
Right.
for the long term outlook of U.S. soccer. And he's like, don't get me wrong, I got a coach fired too. Like I was on teams that have gotten coaches fired and all that kind of stuff. But like
When is the next one? I was about to say, I was like, wait, we get a bye, don't we?
26.
But I'm not guaranteed that there is because there's us, Canada, and Mexico that are hosting it. Do we all three get buys?
We ought to get. I don't know. Like the normal
we
is
might
like,
have to have a
the host country
round
gets,
robin to
gets-
whoever.
The host country gets an automatic.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. But we're hosting it as three host countries.
Well, we get they right.
I guess we'd have to look back and see if Japan and Korea each got a team.
Right. The host country gets an automatic into the pool,
Maybe that's what it is.
but that's it.
Automatic, and you automatically qualify, but still have to. I
Right.
don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. You're right. That's a good question. I don't know if
Because I thought there was talk of like adding another group or adding more teams to it, and it being more than 32 typically.
Yeah, I don't remember. I do like some World Cup, and I mean it's going to be more interesting now. Okay, so the elephant in the room, the one we can't not do on national news. How do we not? What are we doing on Signal? You got Signal? You want to text me on Signal?
No.
I mean, again, I come off as a Trump defender from time to time, and I understand that. And my true stance is he's as big an idiot as the prior idiots that we've had run this country. But this is a new level, and I guess Trump isn't directly implicated other than he didn't fire that idiot that did this thing. Like, come on.
But I saw where they had asked him about it, and I don't know timeline of when it had come out. I'm assuming he had at least a few hours since, the article itself had dropped. But
The first one was like he's
I
like
find it kind of hard to believe that
is
somebody
the first
around
I'm
him wasn't
hearing it.
like, hey, there's this big story that's hitting the news cycle that you're going to a press conference. They're probably going to ask you about this.
I mean, maybe,
But I guess
but
maybe it's easier just to be like, no, I hadn't heard
this
anything
is
about
the
this.
first I've heard. What are you talking about?
Right.
I did hear that some of that bits from that press conference.
Right.
It's like I mean just in the pure politics of it, not in the moral or the correct thing to do or like we are in a functional government kind of thing. That's not at all what I'm trying to argue here, but just in the pure politics of it. Mm-hmm. Just fire him. You're Trump. You're fired. Get it done. Like just fire him and this thing goes away. Like it was a massive mistake. It was a massive duh moment.
I've heard that take, but I mean, could it be seen as, I guess, admitting fault by doing that?
Not to
I've heard most people say it's like this would have been a lot easier if just from the get go you were like, this was a mistake. He's gone.
Yeah,
we're cleaning this up.
Right. Like you're trying to circle the wagons and protect the Mike Walls.
Yeah.
Trying to protect him at any level was the political mistake, because now everything's going to revolve around this. If the Dems win the midterm,
I mean,
there's going to be an investigation.
Doing a
There's going to be
pretty good spin game. I mean, it's like this was a great job. This is nothing basically. There's just like I don't know why.
I don't know. Like how dumb are we that dumb that like to think for half a second that if John Q. Private. The John Q, the seaman on whatever boats out in the Red Sea right now, had posted what he's about to do on X, he wouldn't be in the brig immediately.
No, I don't disagree with you.
You know, like, but I'm saying, is the spin good enough to outweigh that? I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, I think they've done that in the spin that this wasn't classified. They're like, maybe this was semi-sensitive, but this wasn't really big. And
Right.
they've
Well,
just kind
they
of put the cherry
I
on
mean,
top and like,
they-
we did a great job. That's what we need to be focused on. We did an awesome job.
They even downgraded the headline. It wasn't war plans; it was attack plans. Come on, we're not that like we are. Like,
I don't know what
you're
they're-
stupid. I'm stupid. Every adult that has any pulse to them right now, that has any idea of at all what's going on in government or politics, or like that is stupid.
I don't get why
That's
they're.
the only way you can actually say that with a straight face is you think we are that dumb.
I don't get how they're taking a victory lap on this. They're like, did you not see? Like, we just kicked ass. It's like you launch missiles at a militant group
Right? Hey, guess who else did it?
that you said is a ragtag kind of
Right.
group or whatever.
Guess who else did it? Biden did it, and guess what? They're still here. You can fire missiles at them all you want. They're not going anywhere.
Right. I think Breaking Points pointed out like yesterday or something that there's already been like since that attack or whatever, there'd already been like other ships attacked.
Yeah, it's the Biden one was my favorite because Biden said, "Are these attacks successful? Nope. Are we going to keep doing them? Yeah." That wasn't the exact. That was
At a certain
paraphrased.
level, I don't know if deterrence is better than nothing. Like if you're at least blowing up some of their munitions.
But I mean,
I don't know.
But from the Trump White House perspective, it's like, well, we're on this war path with Western Europe right now anyway. Like Western Europe and their opinions and all that kind of stuff doesn't matter anymore. We don't want to hear about Western Europe and all their stuff. We don't care. We run the world, not this conglomeration of the Western powers. We are the Western power.
That's why I don't get the Greenland thing. It's like we need this for international safety too. It's like, wait, oh, we care about everybody else. Like,
I mean, that's again, you like to use the spin word all the time, but I'm just saying, like, it's like this, like, who are we helping by if these attacks on the Houthis stopped the blockade on shipping in the Red Sea?
I think somebody pointed out on there, it's like, only 10% or average 10% of what comes to America goes through that strait.
Yeah, none of that's our stuff. That was pointed out in the text thread.
Right, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Like
That- in
they
that text
knew
message
that.
they
It wasn't
talked
that
about
it wasn't that there's a fact that those guys weren't aware of. They knew that fact. And so it's like, and somebody said it. It's like, for the MAGA brand, not for the MAGA branding, but for the branding, for our branding with our Europe issues right now, this doesn't really line up.
That was Vance.
Like, we're actively like, hey, you know what? We're tired of paying the bills for Europe right now, as far as like all this kind of different stuff goes. So why don't we have the British Navy go do this, or the French Navy or the German Navy go handle this stuff? Why are we doing it?
Right.
Which is a valid question. Oh, but we did it. We killed a bunch of. We collapsed a building that we have confidence that the guy was in.
Right.
So how many other people died? Because there's the other part too, and this was one of the things on Breaking Points that Ryan was talking about. It's like we literally have evidence, provable evidence that they committed a war crime. We're gonna have that conversation at all right now.
Right.
You killed
Vice
civilians.
President's like, excellent.
Right. You killed civilians, and you put a thumbs up emoji on it.
They also brought up today, I guess, that it seems to allude that an Israeli source may have been, or some kind of intelligence source may have been outed by
Right. Was there somebody on the ground that visibly saw it?
Somebody on the ground that verified that person was in the building or whatever.
I don't know. That gives a level of like, do we care that much about how good our intelligence is to kill a bunch of people? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree. Like, if we were doing it correctly, like if we actually cared to do it correctly. Hold on. Hey, can you turn that down just a teeny bit, buddy?
Yeah, sorry. It is pretty loud.
It's cool, man. I know you're trying to drown us out. I don't want you to listen to us. I just want you to I don't want us to pick up your cool game music.
Oh, no, I get it.
I know, you're playing Mario Kart 9 on the new Switch. I see you.
No.
Pirated version. Mario.
We got a ROM of that shit. But yeah, I know. I would like to think that we take the time and energy to put forth the effort to have the real intelligence. But at the same time, I don't think so. Like we have either been directly or indirectly just killing the Houthis as much as possible for a decade.
I think it was mentioned on that thread that like it wouldn't have to happen now. Like we've got like a 1 month window or something to that effect.
Right.
That basically we would still have time to do this between now and the next month or so.
Right, but again, because
Which means they've probably got a tail on this like top missile scientist or whatever that was their target.
Right, and again, and as Ryan was saying on the Breaking Points, it's like it's not like they're not going to find another one.
Right,
they'll find somebody else to take that role.
Right,
like they'll
it's
be
like
on
cutting the
LinkedIn.
head off a Hydra.
Right, the Houthi LinkedIn is going to find them a new missile specialist. They'll figure it out. Right. That's what they've done. That's what they do. It'll be either some Iranian guy who already knows it that they'll bring over to teach somebody new, or he'll just take it over himself. Whatever it is, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're not solving any problems here. It's just like, I don't know. Like, again, like to me, this is just you're an idiot. Here's a bold-faced lie, and you're going to take it, and nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, it's been interesting to kind of see the few different stories that came out of it. So there were a few that like started out like, all right, this is a mistake, but trying to move it on.
Was it Marco Rubio went on a whole rant, and he's like, this was a huge mistake.
Yeah, I think he was one of the few that actually said this was a mistake.
You know, and again, that's what I'm saying. Like, just pure politics, none of the morals, none of the legals, none of that stuff, but pure politics. This was like Trump comes out, says this is a huge mistake. That guy's fired.
Right.
That guy should be in jail. If that guy was John Q. Seaman, he'd be in jail.
Right.
But
they mentioned somebody else recently that was like
fired.
I think it was somebody that included almost the exact same thing, that somehow added a journalist to like an ICE raid, like text message chain. And then that journalist or whatever, or that person that released or added them to the list or whatever. Because I guess the journalist, either did release where the raid was going to be at, or if it was just they got found out that this person was in there. Because that's what one of the congressional hearings where they were actually, it wasn't supposed to be about this. They were supposed to just be a normal meetings.
Just hammered them, yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
But they
that's
want-
the political problem here is that this will be a constant. Every time Tulsi or Hexeth or anybody else has to appear before Congress, any Democrat on the subcommittee or whomever is doing the talking is just going to hammer about this thing. Whatever the actual topic is they're supposed to be there is going to become a secondary thing. It is a huge political win for the Democrats until you fire them. If you had just fired them from the get-go, they're still going to try to play that win a little bit, but it has a lot less gravity than it does now. Because now Tulsi and Hexeth and all them are trying to, like, weasel their way around telling the truth and say, yeah, we probably shouldn't have had this conversation on Signal. Period. Like,
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's
I've heard some people are like, this is like the worst, intelligence, leak in like a decade or quarter century or whatever.
I love it.
And they was like, no, this was an awesome job. Did you guys not read the text
it.
thread? Like, this was awesome. Like, we just kicked some fucking ass.
Yeah, I love it. I love to know the truth here because, like, the truth is there's.
I think the Justice Department already came out and said that, like, no, we're not planning on doing any investigations. It's like nothing wrong was done.
I mean, I don't.
We'll see. I think there's enough people that have pushed back. Like you said, there's some Republicans that have been like, no, this wasn't cool. We're not quite cool with this.
I mean, again, like, I think the saving grace to all this is, like, I don't think Trump's going to turn around for a third term. I don't think anybody's going to replace Trump. I think the MAGA movement dies with Trump. Not with Trump's death. I'm not trying to call for that. Dies with Trump not being in politics anymore. When Trump steps aside, whether he does it willingly or whether he does it go into prison or does the Nixon thing and says peace out, and the next one says we're going to leave this thing alone because the more we make this thing a thing. Because I mean, I think who came after Nixon? Johnson?
Yeah. No, Ford.
Ford. I mean, I think that was the right move. Like, in hindsight, if you look at it, it's like, are you sure it wasn't LBJ?
Yeah, positive. LBJ came after JFK.
Okay, you're right. Anyway, I think
I'm positive.
I think that pardon or that we're going to pardon him and just keep your mouth shut and go away. Like, what did we hear from Nixon after?
Very little.
Well,
I want to say it was after he was out that he did that sit-down interview with, was it Snow or something? They made a movie about it, but it was like a British journalist that he sat down. That was apparently like one of the few things or one of the times like they caught him. It was the guy did an interview over like a 3 or 4 day period. What was it? Frost. They had made a movie about it. It was like Nixon versus Frost or whatever.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
They had like a one-on-one interview with him, but I think that was after his presidency, where apparently he sat down and the guy did kind of get him to admit that, like, yeah, I did, was it held on to illegal recordings or had illegal tapes.
Right. But I'm just saying, like that what would be best for the country right now is for Trump to disappear and just not hear another word out. Now, to be fair, I don't know that that's a reality no matter what happens moving forward. I don't know that Trump's capable of keeping his mouth shut. But that's the hope, I guess, that I'm holding on to.
I mean, you've got talk to text. It'd be just as easy. And when he can't, like, type, he can still talk to...
Well, his buddy Elon will hook him up to the Neuralink, and then the thoughts will just flow out of his head straight into his truths.
And we can have 500 truths a day.
Yeah, that's what we do. So go back local, semi-local, staying on Trump and local. He put out his proclamation of voting stuff. You see that story at all? I mean,
so a little bit. I can't.
It's basically it just requires proof of citizenship to be able to register to vote.
Okay, yeah. That's what I read.
I don't know. Am I a bad guy because I don't have a problem with this? Like, I have to have proof of citizenship to get on a fucking plane.
B?
You have to have proof of citizenship to get a real ID. To get a real ID, you have to have a real ID to get on a plane now, or you will pretty soon.
Right.
So I have to have proof. I have to have proof of citizenship to get a real ID, so I can get on a plane or a train or other public transport and whatever else the real ID is supposed to be good for.
I think it's just for flying. I think you can still get on like Greyhound and.
Whatever.
We were wondering about Amtrak because we weren't quite sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. But to get a real ID that the state is pushing that we need to get everybody needs to get a real ID.
Right.
You have to have proof of citizenship. Okay. Am I bad because I think that the requirement for me to get on an airplane, the requirement for me to be able to vote should be at least similar to, if not higher than, my requirement to get on an airplane?
I don't know. I think the biggest pushback is something that's not been done in the past, and I don't know. I'm more of the mind that I think this is like a non-issue. I think it's more just tries to add into the idea that there's all this illegal voting left and right, and this is the only way we can stop it. And
Okay, I mean, I again, like, sure,
I'm in some agreement that this will inhibit people from going and voting.
This feeds
That
into the
freedom of-
fantasy of the stolen election thing. I agree with
Right?
that.
If we don't have this, then it's even going to be much more or less secure.
But I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know. Again, like, you know, okay, so fine. So normal people in their day-to-day lives, you don't have
I
your
mean, I
birth
still got to
certificate.
have my voter ID or my voter registration card.
Well, Tennessee, you have to have your ID. Period. You have to have an ID. But you can get an ID in Tennessee without being a resident, without having proof citizenship. You can get a driver's license or a Tennessee state ID without citizenship.
All right, but I don't
technically.
think that gives you a voter registration card.
Right, but you can register to vote when you get an ID. Full stop. Every time you've gone to get, like, you know, you've changed your address and you go get a new ID with your new address on it, they ask you want us to update your voter registration.
Right.
So whatever you need, whatever you're doing to get your ID is enough to get your voter registration up to.
But I don't think it's just automatic that you go get an ID, they automatically.
I mean, they
give you a
ask,
voter
but
ID card.
I don't know what else is on the list. Of
I'm
stuff.
assuming there's something behind the scenes that verifies you are.
Chris Davis, why don't you stop in next week? Maybe give me a call and we'll talk about this in depth, because he's already said, like, I mean, Chris Davis has already come out and said, like, you know, he's like, I don't think there's a lot that's going to happen here. Like, for what we're doing right now, I don't think that's going to change a lot.
Yeah.
But he's waiting on guidance from whomever. I guess Secretary of State Haggart.
Haggerty.
So
No. Hargett. No.
Yeah, Trey Hargett. Trey Hargett?
I think so.
Trey Hargett, whatever. He's waiting on guidance because the Secretary of State runs the elections for the state of Tennessee. But apparently, you know, like Knox County might not have an issue with it, but some other counties, smaller counties, might have a bigger issue with trying to get in line with this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will agree in principle that there's not a lot of fraudulent voting that actually happens at scale. Realistically, the most common is you would vote in the district that you were registered in because you haven't updated your registration from your new house because you moved.
Yeah.
You know, the other most common one, according to Chris Davis, is felons who haven't done their paperwork yet to get their right to vote back, which is bullshit. They should get it automatically when their sentence is completed.
Yeah, I saw a story, I guess it was a few months ago, going into the November elections of a Tennessee woman who'd been going through the process for like 2 or 3 years.
I mean, that's so stupid. I hate that. Like, you do your time.
Right.
I mean, at minimum, you get your right your right to move freely about the area, and your right to vote back. It's just dumb.
Yeah, I can't remember what some of the hurdles it was.
But anyway, so I don't know. Like, I don't have a problem. Like yes, I understand that this is part of the fantasy of the stolen election thing. I get that, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with the idea of do it or I'm going to take away your funding. I have a problem with the stick that the White House is going to try to use here.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, I think, and this again to me is why I want a libertarian federal government, a Republican state government, and a Democratic local government, because I don't want the local government to need the federal government to exist. Because, like, you know, on Scott's podcast earlier, we were talking today, the transportation outlook thing. It's like this 5-year plan that the city, county, or the city does. I can't remember which body does it, but it's just kind of this thing looking at, like, what roads do we need to fix? What roads do we need to expand? What systems of mass transit do we have available? Like, it's just this whole kind of thing. Where are places we can improve this thing? It's this big plan that they put out. And it's like a 5-year thing that they put updates to every year. And it comes out today. Part of the reason this plan has to be on paper is so that the city or county can then turn and apply for grants from the federal government to get funding to do X, Y, or Z. I hate that. I mean, I like that in the sense that, you know, my income tax collected that the federal government takes from me is getting back to me locally to get spent on things that I need locally. I like that part of it, but I hate the idea that a Trump or a Biden or a Clinton or a Bush or whoever can play some weird little games. And this is like, because apparently that was one of the things that changed the smoking age. When we changed smoking age up to 21,
Right.
is it was something in the during the Biden or during the Obama administration. It was some health thing that they were trying to push, and it was basically like, "Hey, states, we would like you to change your smoking age to 21. You have the right to put your smoking age to whatever you want, but if you don't change it to 21, any funding related to X, Y, or Z, we're not going to give you anymore." And that was how they got this. Some states that were reluctant to make that change to go ahead and make that change. Which goes back to, like, it's one of the things that go ahead.
I see the iffiness in it, but I also see an incentive, I guess, to the states, especially, they've talked about, lung cancer and all the complications that come around to it.
All right, on the specific, sure, fine. This is a way to try to encourage states to not be dumb. But the inverse is, it's like the inverse is true too, and that's what I don't like. The inverse is true. It's like this is encouraging the states to lean into MAGA ideology. States that, like Tennessee, who already do, are fine with it, of course. But states like California and Colorado and whatever are not. New York hates it. Colorado doesn't. California doesn't require an ID or anything to vote. You can just show up and vote.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, there's a cool map that somebody put out, and it's like this. There's like 4 degrees of like identification to vote, and it's like show up and vote. At least an ID of some sort, but it could be like a library card or anything, all the way up to. And so it was this shaded thing, and so like the lightest color was nothing, the darkest color was a driver's license or a photo ID.
Right.
And then it showed a map of the United States and which states have what level of requirement, from nothing to a photo ID.
Well, send it to me when you find it.
Okay.
I'm curious to look at it.
Okay. And so anyway, the point being is that, like, I don't know, like, again, like on the base principle of it, yeah, like I don't think if you're not a citizen, you should be voting in our elections. Do I think that's really happening? Probably not.
They can at local. There's some states that allow non-citizen voting on like local elections. For federal, you can't at all. Or for local, I think you're still.
Though? Like, how do you let them in? How do you let them get? How do you do a specified ballot? Chris Davis, how do you do a specified ballot for a non-citizen vote?
I think I've heard of like smaller localities.
I get it. Makes sense. Like, you live here.
Right.
Like Knox County Schools, by definition, is required to take any school-age student. Citizenship is irrelevant. That's a federal.
There's a bill they've got trying to take that out now. What?
No, I just think they could. I don't know. Like, I get it and I don't get it. Like, I don't.
I think it made it out of education.
I hate it. I mean, I hate it because it's blatantly stupid. Like, it's blatantly dumb. Because at the end of the day, this illegal immigrant kid is still going to be a part of our society when they grow up. So making sure they're not stupid is probably not bad for us in general.
Right.
Literally, what's the point of public schools? So you have a generation of people that are capable of doing things to help the other generations and the economy and all those things that matter. So just because you don't like immigrants doesn't change the fact that those people are going to be working.
Yeah.
And we need them to be working. And we need them to be making money and doing the whole thing that part of the economy and the society and all those things. We need we need less stupid people.
I saw somebody pointing out, I don't know what state it was we were talking about. I think they're talking about it in Tennessee as well, but it was another state that was talking about cutting Head Start program or Head Start funding. And then a lot of studies that had been done it was one of the better kind of like return on investments. It basically, like, for every like $1 that goes into Head Start, state gets back $4. It's more long-term investment, but
right. And it doesn't cost X number of dollars when they're in kindergarten, first grade, second grade to get them caught up into par.
Right.
Like they'll spend $4 or more to get that student to the level they're supposed to be at without it.
Yeah.
Like if they do it, big win UT, I'll break the law here. Tennessee makes its second Elite Eight in history.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are the women still in it too? I thought they were in.
Yeah,
it.
ladies won last night. I believe they won last night.
I thought I saw they were both made it to the Sweet 16.
I saw I call shenanigans on that. Thompson Bowling is the best arena in college sports.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think the last time I've been there. I mean, I know they've done like.
I haven't been since the renovations. But
I can't think they've done that much to it.
I'll tell you what. I mean, okay, like, I'm not a basketball fan. I do like March Madness. It's fun. But just for pure economics, I really want UT to win this whole fucking thing.
It's for the school.
No, it's just pure, it's good for money. It's good for Tennessee. It's good for Knoxville spending. People are out and about. I guarantee you that on a Friday night, a bunch of bars are fuller than they have more people in them than they normally do on a Friday night.
I think the one up the street looked like they were booming.
Yeah.
Some people like parked around like the
Sunday
side.
night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, whenever their next matchup is against Houston or Purdue, whoever wins later on tonight, is going to be slamming. You know, to the point where I'm thinking like, I might go. Like, I mean, I'll go by myself and just hang out. Like, there's something fun about being in the room when cool stuff happens like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd prefer to be with friends or whatever. Like, have a table with my friends and then be with a bunch of people that are on the same page.
Right.
But there is something fun about it. Like, I'm really bummed. Last summer, I was out of town. We were at we were on our beach trip when the UT men won their baseball thing, and that parade and all that stuff that they did. Like, that was huge for Knoxville economy. As much as I like to hate on UT for all sorts of things, it's good for the economy. Yeah. It really is. UT sports is. Education, I'm indifferent. I'm sure it has positives for Knox County too. It's the second largest employer in Knox County. To Knox County schools.
Yeah.
Big Ears is happening. I'm sorry I didn't get you a press pass for Avalanche.
No, I wasn't worried about it.
Not Avalanche. Who is it that you want to see?
Explosions in the Sky.
Explosions in the Sky. They playing tonight? When are they playing?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm saying, like, I'll see if I can swing something for you. Let's give it a try.
Not that worried about it.
I mean, if I can pull it off,
At this
will
point,
you
I
go?
don't even know where to park downtown.
If I can get it, if I can get you in, will you go?
I don't even know where they're playing. But yeah, sure, maybe.
Okay, I'll make some phone calls here in a second. I got people.
When's it going on? Is it this weekend?
The Big Ear started yesterday.
Did it? Isn't the marathon going on too? I thought I saw a local article.
Yeah, there's a
that
bunch
was talking about
there's
other
some
things that
pickleball
were going
tournament
on downtown.
Yeah, there's some pickleball tournament too.
It was like with the Covenant race downtown. Like, here's some other things going on downtown Knoxville.
Yeah.
It's like, what else is going on? Damn.
I know, and I can't do
Like,
my
you shut down a bunch of streets for the race, don't you?
I couldn't do. I wasn't allowed to do Hollaroo against Rossini.
Right.
But we can have Big Ears and a marathon in the same weekend.
Yeah.
I need to shut up. Like, special events likes me, and I need to let them like me and be okay.
I went to Rossini once years ago, and it was packed on Gay Street.
Yeah, it's a cool event.
Yeah.
I'm not Italian, so it's not super cool to me. But
I like Italian food.
I mean,
So it's lots of good smells.
Who doesn't like Italian food? Come on,
Got garlic everywhere.
garlic and onions and basil.
And you've always got just like those like pop-up like fair kind of food trucks. You can get funnel cakes and deep fried Oreos and all that kind of random, like not really Italian at all, but it's just, you know,
whatever.
delicious
It's a street
junk food.
It's a street thing you're
Right.
going on. You're spending stupid money on things that aren't good for you or anything.
You got a bunch of gyros and
Harrells. Yeah. So anyway, that's the I don't know. Like, I think I don't know. Like $70 million. I think is what the estimated impact of a Big Ears Festival is. Oh, look at Candace Parker. Get you, girl. Get it.
I saw her mention about something, but I didn't know what it was.
Her jersey got retired for whatever pro team she played for.
Ah, is that what it was?
But she's also on the panel that CBS has been doing for college ball, so she's excited that her Vols are winning games.
Let's see, Bridgestone Arena got something for like their gross sales. They were like 15th for like arena for gross ticket sales.
I think. Let me back up on my statement. I believe the headline was collegiate, which I still call bullshit on. There's no fucking way. Thompson sucks. Prove me wrong. Buy me a ticket to something that I want to see. Look,
I don't think there's much special about it.
I will go back to my default. My number one default is I saw Prince in Thompson Bowling Arena and it sucked.
Yeah.
I saw Prince live and it sucked. I blame that on Thompson Bowling. I try to give it a benefit of the doubt because it's Prince. He has a huge catalog. I love all of his catalog. And so my like top 3 Prince songs that I love the most, he didn't play Darling Nikki because he didn't play Darling Nikki, but he played 7 in a montage sequence, and it really wasn't cool. And then I can't remember what the third one was, but that was also in a montage. And so it's kind of like, well, my favorite Prince songs were like 30 seconds of the song.
Yeah.
Because they played it in, and,
I don't like when they do that. It's like,
well,
it's like, great, thanks for teasing.
But
a
again,
song I wanted to hear.
like I get it. Like from
Right.
from Prince's perspective, he's trying to
Right.
get as much out there for the fan base and stuff like that as
Like,
he
well,
can.
at least I got 10 seconds of one of my favorite songs.
But I mean, closed on a killer. Killer when doves cry. I mean, just killer when doves cry. Just perfect closer. Everything was great. But it didn't sound good. I mean, regardless of, the set was not great.
Yeah.
Because of the problems with just if you are that big and have that big a catalog, you've got too much to try to squeeze into a set. Check heard, acknowledged. But it didn't sound good. And that's Thompson's fault. There's no way Prince was putting on a show that he didn't make it sound as good as he could for the room he was in. And it was just bad. So anyway, that's why I hate Thompson. If you care why I hate Thompson. Anyway, what else you got?
I just remember if I sent you this article. There was a teen authors bill outlining foster child bill of rights was testifying for passage.
You did not send me that. Tell me more.
I can't remember if I sent it to you.
Tell me more about it. I'll give you my gut reaction. You probably will hate it.
Let's see here. Testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee for the first time.
Oh, yeah. We got to talk about that,
Let's
too.
see. 20 days before she turned 18, that she wrote the bill. I can't remember if I looked it up. I think it does have to have a co-sponsor, because I think you and I were wondering if you could have kind of like citizens-led bills or whatever.
You got to have
It still has to be introduced by.
Right, you got to introduce by, and then somebody has to co-sponsor it to get it at least to the floor, or at least to the whatever that puts it in a committee.
Let's see here. If passed, it would become law for children to receive an education, care, treatment, and live in a safe house free of abuse and pests. I think it might have to do with like the foster care system.
Seems oddly specific, but okay. You have the right to, sure, but is the state going to pay for it?
I don't know if it was adding requirements to. Let's see if I can't find it.
Look, I mean, there are plenty of stories about shitty foster parents out there, and I think that's a problem. I'm not trying to say anything to slow that down is not a good thing, but the state of Tennessee ain't going to put $1 up for you, friend. So, other than taking you out and shoving you in another house, I don't know what the solution is here.
Yeah, I don't know if it. I'd have to read more about it. Sorry. My guess would be it's trying to clean up. Maybe as a foster parent, maybe Tennessee doesn't have any kind of requirement for education.
I'm good with something to if you're going to apply to be a foster parent, there's some sort of guidelines.
Right.
I'm good with that.
Talked about it before when I saw something. I think it was like a John Oliver. It was on like homeschooling, and it listed a handful of states to where if you took your children out of the public school systems, like don't have to even like tell them, don't have to give them a reason or anything like that. You can just pull them out and be like, "Yeah, don't want you teaching them anymore." For some states, I think you have to actually I guess at least like put in writing that you are pulling them out of the system. So I guess the school system doesn't like call the Department of Children's Services or the police department and been like, "Hey, this kid hasn't been here in 2 weeks. We haven't heard from the parents. We don't know what's going on."
I think that's fair. I think it's fair to have at least some documentation that you are not going to put your kid inside the thing.
Right.
Like, I think that's fair. Would you do me a favor? Grab that piece of paper and will you read it to me? At least read the first little bit because it cracks me up. I have it in front of me too. I could have done it. I could have done it digitally for you, but
To whom it may concern.
yes,
Dear fellow Republicans, everyone to start.
yes.
Sadly, our Knox County Republican Party is in danger of falling into a dangerous state of decline. Recently, we have lost 2 county commission seats and a school board seat. Our city council is dominated by persons of radical ideology, and the Democrats are organized and working hard to win upcoming county mayoral, commission, and Senate legislative races in 2026. Hey, we keep going?
I put food in my mouth, so yeah, I keep reading.
Okay. Our Republican Party here in Knox County is unorganized, underfunded, and inactive. It's not something you say out loud in writing. You, however, a strong Republican, can
Me.
change the trajectory
Me.
of our party on March 29th, 2025. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So, exactly. What you just mentioned.
It's not thick cardstock, though.
No, I know. They were serious about making sure I felt like it was important.
Right.
Um,
I meant to ask you, I was like, if it's not a wet signature, then it's voided.
I didn't try that hard. But, anyway, sorry. I tried to sneak a snack in there. Got my mouth full. So, yeah, I took this. I took a photo of this and I sent it to the one and only Eric Whiter. And I said, hey, Martin Daniel thinks I'm a Republican.
Like, did you get one of these?
Can I run for mayor? And Eric says, I want to make sure I quote correctly. So I sent him the picture, and I said, see, I told you I was a Republican. His not about unorganized is his unorganized is right. I know I'm not a Republican, LOL. Just kind of laughing at the fact that, if you're an organized party, you sure as shit wouldn't send me a letter saying I'm a Republican.
Like I said, I'm sure you're on like their maybe list.
Right. But he's Eric replies, you are bona fide per the bylaws, but cannot run as a candidate. What the fuck does that mean? I'm a bona fide Republican, but I'm not bona fide to run as a candidate.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some new. I was about to say new bylaw they've changed, but if you're good, just by the bylaws.
Right, but the bylaws, one of the things that changed in the bylaws was you cannot have voted in a Democratic primary, which the one and only Chris Davis did look up for me because he's awesome like that, and said that I did, which I still don't understand why I did. Whatever. He sent me my signature and everything, so I obviously did it. Like he sent me a screenshot. Yeah. He found the documentation. I cannot deny that I did pull a Democratic primary. And I said, so as a bona fide party member, I can't be a candidate. He said, not if you voted in a Democratic primary. So bona fide means I can support but not be supported. He said it means different things. A criteria that recently added for candidates is you cannot vote in recent Democratic primaries. The August 2020 disqualifies you. And so there's different levels of bona fide depending on whether you want to support the party. Like, let me back up a second.
You can support us. You can't be one of us.
So I am not breaking the law when I pull a Republican primary. I have that level of bona fide with the party. But I am breaking the bylaws for candidates if I want to run as a Republican.
Technically, yes.
And so the party doesn't mean shit. It's bullshit. The whole thing's bullshit. I hate it all. You guys suck. This is why I want to, and again, to be clear, if I run for mayor here in a little bit, I'm going to apply to run for mayor as a Republican, and I'm going to make the state party kick me out.
I wonder if you could work your way up in the ranks of the party to change the bylaw, and then come back and run, and as the candidate to be able to do it.
I could, but I have a soul,
like you'd have
and I would
change,
like to keep it.
Change it from the party side.
Well, recent, I don't know what the definition of recent is by the party standard either.
It could be true. There could be.
Recent could be within 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, whatever.
Right.
Which I think it's not dirty. It is. They're their own group. They could do what they want, but that's a dirty game they could play. They could change that standard. They could say, well, you're not allowed to have voted in a Democratic primary in the last 12 years. And then a couple of years later, 16 years. 20 years. And they could change that number whenever they want. Every year they meet up and they change their bylaws.
Yeah.
Update their bylaws, excuse me. Anyway, they can suck it. But I will, if you want to help me run for mayor, almostinagreement@gmail.com. Do the paperwork for me. I will do the FaceTime part of it. And I will run as a Republican. I will make the party kick me off the ballot. Because I want them to do it. I want to force them to do it because go fuck yourself. Because you're too chicken shit to do it with, what's his face?
Eddie.
Yeah, you're too chicken shit to do it with Eddie Manis. I don't have big dollar donor Republican friends that Eddie Manis did, though, so you might not be as chicken shit to kick me off. You might be a little bit more, fuck that guy. I have an audience of like 37.
Who's he now? Yeah, no.
I have an audience of like 37, and most of the people I like in politics most are Democrats. I don't agree with them on everything, but I like them because they're willing to fucking talk to me. Except for Becky. Becky is my champion. Becky is my. If every Republican was Becky Massey, I'd be a happy camper. Yeah, I need to get some updates on the hemp bills. I'll give you that next week. So let's get weird, friend. What you got?
Let me get what's here.
Hit me.
Got 8 new Corvettes gone missing from Kentucky car plant, but the conspicuous muscle cars are all found.
Conspicuous?
Yeah, sorry, conspicuous.
Okay. I was trying to. I thought we were. I was excited to learn a new word.
I meant to look it up. That the guy that did the Atlantic article on the Signal.
Yeah.
He saw some guy that was like reading through. I guess it was like his first story, but found like some word. Even that guy was like, "What is this? Like, what the hell?" Then he started looking up like where this guy went to school. He's like, "Where's this guy from?" He's like, "Okay, that makes sense why he would have like this big word."
Yeah, there's a whole there's more. There's way more to that story than we even talked about tonight. About like, because anyway, it doesn't matter. Go ahead. People stole some Corvettes and they showed up. What?
Yeah, I guess they arrested one guy. Said he would have made it back to Michigan. I would have been paid big. First car was located at a Walmart. Or when a woman at an apartment complex saw a brand new Corvette with like papers on it.
Did he even blow the price tag off the window?
Oh no, these are at like a plant that produces them. So they hadn't even gone to dealerships yet.
Oh, damn.
This was stolen from like the plant that produces them. I think it says in Bowling Green. Let's see here. Got Royal Air Force engineer shamed by judge over theft of Paddington Bear statue.
As he should be. How dare you steal a Paddington Bear statue?
They didn't look after this bear. In fact, 2 men who had been drinking, kicked, and yanked on a statue of Paddington, the fictional orphan bear who came to England from Peru, until it broke in half. Then they took it.
It feels like a story that they wrote just to help promote the movie.
Let's see here. Both military personnel for being the antithesis of everything Paddington's character stands for.
Yeah. Screw you guys.
See, Paddington Bear is a beloved cultural icon with children and adults alike, Judge Sam Guzzi said. He represents kindness, tolerance, and promotes integration, acceptance in our society. Your actions were the antithesis of everything Paddington stands for.
Yeah, you kicked a bear statue, you sons of bitches.
Yeah. Tried to wrestle the bear. An inanimate bear.
People. People are dumb.
Yeah, drunk people.
Yeah. Hey, I'm one of them right now.
Or drunk board military personnel.
Yeah, soldiers are the problem. I think soldiers are the problem in the sentence, not the drunk part. Well, that's not true. Drunk people are dumb. They do stupid things.
Oh, I forgot there was. Okay, one more.
Oh wait, okay.
It's actually a Nashville one.
Oh, local weird. All right, here we go.
Got viral videos of dogs called a Himalayan fur goblin and teacup werewolf boost adoptions.
Okay.
Something about a local, I guess, shelter that I think they said they started during kind of COVID doing like adoption videos of dogs, and then just came up with like a little shtick to be like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, it's a Himalayan, goblin dog.
They make up new names to help sell dogs.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at that. That's fun.
Increase adoption.
Way to go, Nashville. I have no update on the Dolly story. I need to follow up on a couple of those emails I sent. I really want to know. I want somebody to at least tell me I don't know. Like that's at least something. I want somebody from Dolly's management or PR team to at least be like, we don't know.
All right.
Because at least that says
at least get a, like,
we see what you're we see what you're asking for. We don't have an answer for you. As opposed to right now, I sent emails to the wind. I would just like to see so I need to follow up on that this week. Hopefully, I'll have an update for you guys next week on the Dolly in Happy Howler story.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So, last call for anything else?
I think so.
All right. Big win for Vols. I love it. Second Elite Eight. Let's go ahead and get ready to win on Sunday and make a trip to the Final Four. I think it'll be our first trip to the Final Four ever. I I went full homer. I have UT winning my bracket. I'll take it. Anyway, Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check out all the cool stuff we got going on there. Halloween is upon us. May 17th. Get your derby car ready. Get your vendor space. Come out and just rock and roll and have a good time. May 17th, and their signups are available for different parts and pieces. If you want to volunteer to help us out and do some of the legwork for the day, we'd love to have you out. Or just come out and have a good time, because it is a good time. And we will have booze on the street. Maybe, probably. I'll got to find out officially next week. Anyway, we're almost in agreement. We appreciate you all listening. Favorite podcast providers. Tell your friends about us. We're going to keep doing the shows. And I promise to all you good, faithful listeners out there, I will try to start doing some more interviews when and if things settle down. Maybe post Holaroo. I don't know. We'll see. I don't not want to have interviews. It's just scheduling politicians is hard. They're busy people. Nah, they're not really that busy. That's a lot. Anyway, almost here. Bye, everybody.